guys, it's Miss Bloodworth. I'm here in my classroom, and today I'm going to be giving you a virtual tour of my classroom. That way you're able to see what's going on in the classroom if you haven't been in before, and that way you're able to clearly understand all the things happening so that you can best succeed. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi guys, so on the board right behind me is what I call the agenda board. Pardon me because this video is a little bit backwards, but as you can see on here we have homework and announcements. Every day it's labeled by class, by day, and it tells you exactly what we're doing. Students, as soon as they come into my classroom, are expected to write down whatever it is in their square into their agendas. Parents, this is a great way to keep your child accountable to what's being done in class, and if you notice they did not write in their agenda that day, that should be a red flag to you, as if they're not getting their morning work done. That's the one thing they have to do every day. And so it's also great for you to see the homework and announcements coming up. So as you can see, I placed the About Me quiz on here for this current week. That would be just an example of when like the first day I told you guys about it and when it's due, right over here. So that's one way to keep accountable, is through the agenda board that I have first thing when you walk into my classroom. Hey guys, Miss Bloodworth here with how to use your agenda tour. I already explained how to use the agenda board in my classroom, and I'm going to explain how to use your agenda at this school year. So basically, you're going to flip open to your agendas to whatever week it is. Let's just pretend it's the week of August 6th, okay? I'm a super duper smart 6th grader, so I filled in my agenda for Monday, okay? Because Monday is today. But let's say if this is for tomorrow, and let's say I have math very first. And let's say if we're working on subtracting rational numbers in class. So I'll come into my Miss B's classroom and I'll write subtracting rational numbers down, okay? But let's just pretend that like during class I didn't finish my work. Miss B didn't assign homework. It wasn't on the left side of the board, but let's pretend that I didn't finish my homework. Or didn't finish what was done in class. So what I would do is at the end of class, before I walk out, I would write down underneath subtracting rational numbers, I would put finish homework, or finish the worksheet for homework, because I want to be able to remember to finish that at home tonight, so that way tomorrow in class I don't get any points knocked down. So the best way to use your agenda is to fill out on the board whatever the teachers tell you to put down, but then to also put down your homework for that night, okay? The homework part is so important because if you don't put that down, you won't be able to stay accountable to what is due the next day. And sometimes you just forget. So make sure you're writing everything down in your agenda. Okay, when we take a walk into the other side of my classroom, you can see right behind me there's a bunch of bins over here. I'm going to kind of explain those to you. So over here I have these bins labeled period 1, 2, 3, and 6, and those are turn-in baskets for my classes. That's the only place I'll be collecting anything from periods 1 through 6. I'll get to homeroom and Panther Pride in just a second, but these are where I collect all that work for the students, okay? And directly below it, there are these ginormous crates, and inside of here is where I'm going to talk to you about absent work. absent work. I pulled out one of the crates. This is for course 1. Of course, it'll be a little bit different between what class you are, but this is just an example of what they basically look like. The crates are labeled, I don't know if you can see this, 1 through 11. That's how many weeks are in a quarter. And so I created them to where every week, as you can see, this was from week 1 up here in the tab. When you first open it, there should be a page protector with everything we did that week. Now this week there was no Monday, Tuesday classes because we didn't have school those days, but everything else is in here organized and tells you exactly what we did. Everything I put on that agenda board gets put right into here. It says August 1st, so the date, so that there's no confusion on which week it was. It tells you what was handed out, and I highlighted what dates it was due and what papers were due. And in case you can't find those papers, well, lucky for you, also in this folder is a stack of papers, and they're each paper clipped and sticky noted with when they're due and when it was first handed out. That way, parents, you can keep your child accountable for whatever it was that was in this folder. So as you can see, week 1 we did the syllabus. This has the syllabus page in the very back where the student and you had to sign. And over here was the About Me robot, which you can now see is all done on the wall behind me. But that's just a quick example of what that's going to look like. Now, parents, this is important for you to know too, because I get a ton of emails saying that your child's going to be gone or has been gone and needs to get caught up. And I post this online into my Google Classroom, so that way you're able to keep up with us, and that way you're able to play keep up as well as catch up while your student is away. And also, in case you didn't have it on the back of the page protector, there's like sometimes random notes. One of the notes for the first week of school was all the Google Classroom codes, which I have also posted in a different video on Google Classroom, and you're welcome to look at that as well in case you need that. But this is really resourceful for students who are gone for like maybe 1 or 2 days, who come back and who haven't communicated with me through email, to come in here and just grab what they need and to get ready to get caught up, because it will be their homework. And I've told the student this already, but I'm going to say it again, is if however many days the student is absent, they get that many days to make up their work. So if they were gone for 2 days, it would be due 2 days after the day they came back, if that makes sense. So if they were gone Monday, Tuesday, it would be due Thursday, because there's 2 days. So hopefully that all makes sense. If you have questions, please let me know, but that's the absent folder or the absent system in my classroom for the different classes I have. Hey guys, it's Miss Bloodworth here, and today I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of Google Classroom and how to keep up on Google Classroom when you are away from the class or absent. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to go ahead and log on to Google Classroom. Let's just pretend that we're in math period 2 for today. And as you guys know, I post pretty much everything in Google Classroom unless we're doing vocab practice in the classroom that day or just reviewing for something. I pretty much post in here every day. And if I don't, just shoot me an email and remind me, and I'll put that in there as soon as I can. But for the most part, I keep it pretty much up to date. So the reason why I do that is for my friends who are sick at home and who want to be caught up or be practicing their math skills, and so I post everything in here. This is a really good example right here. Every time I post something, it'll say in class today, and it'll show you the attachments below. If I attach a slideshow, it'll usually be right here in Google Slides, and then it'll open up a new tab for you and open it up. And so this is exactly the way it looks on my Google Slides, and exactly what we practiced in class that day. So if ever you're confused on something and you have a question, you can shoot me an email, be like, hey Miss B, I didn't understand slide number 3. What were you talking about when it had all the questions that said y-axis or x-axis or whatever it could possibly be, okay? The next thing is on Google Classroom, if I ever post a link for you to practice extra on, you can click it and practice it, or even if we're doing like bell work or something, you can practice that at home. You won't lose points for it, just explain that you were doing that in class and I'd be happy to help you, okay? Another thing that I post in here is photos that we take in class. So if ever you want to see some of the pictures I've taken of you guys doing work or presenting projects or something like that, I attach them in here as well. Also, if you're trying to figure out how to go backwards in the units, on the side of your Google Classroom, it'll say welcome to class or Unit 2, about Google Classroom, things like that, and it'll be easier for you to find things that you're looking for. Because I do post so often, you need to look at this tab often because you might get confused between the units and they're all labeled. So if it'll say Unit 2 number line, everything under that unit will be there, if that kind of makes sense. So for example, when I clicked on Unit 2, the number line, these are all the postings that I made for the number line. So if you're missing something on PowerSchool, you can come over here and look for it in Google Classroom and it should hopefully be there, okay? Again, if you ever have questions while you're absent and it's not on Google Classroom, you need to email me, Ms. B, and I'd be happy to help you. Hopefully this video helped you a little bit. Another question I get a lot is restrooms. What is the deal with that? Okay, so this year we have shorter passing periods, so there's only 2 minutes in between every class, which leaves 0 time for there to be any bathrooms, any bathroom breaks to be taking place. With that being said, there's in-class time that is appropriate to use the restroom. However, I will say, if you're going to talk to your student about prioritizing and budgeting their time, you want to do it with the classes they struggle the least with. So if your student struggles the most with math, it would be best to encourage them to use a different class time to use the restroom. In my classroom, though, we have a cute little bulletin, or sorry, little, oh my goodness, can't think of what it's called, but we have it, and a clipboard, and it has the sign out. This is where the students will be responsible for signing themselves in and out of the restroom. It'll ask for the date, it'll ask for the time, and will ask for their name. This is just so I can keep a running record of who's consistently missing classes, and I keep that so that I know if your grades are starting to suffer a little bit, that we need to have a discussion about how often you're using the restroom, okay? I do that to basically keep you accountable. So hopefully that information is helpful to you. So I'm actually going to add some information to this because I really do think that bathroom breaks have become an issue in class, so I want to start updating this, okay? So from now on in class, when you need to ask to use the restroom, I don't want you to raise your hand in the middle of my lecture and say, can I use the bathroom? Because one, we're all math-minded, and when I ask a question to the class, I'm not looking for who needs to go to the restroom. I'm asking for who needs questions or who has questions so I can help them, okay? So from now on in class, when you need to use the restroom, instead of asking me by raising your hand, you're just going to cross your fingers like this. Everyone go ahead and try it. Cross your fingers like this. Go from a 2 to a crossover, so it looks like you have to go to the restroom. And hold it up like this in the sky, and I will nod to you. Yeah, go ahead, go. I'll acknowledge you verbally, and then you may sign out and go, okay? So it's our nonverbal way of communicating that you get to use the restroom without interrupting the class, okay? Also, I would highly encourage that you go either first thing when you walk in the door or toward the end of class, because we're trying to get instruction time. So if you do it right in the meat of that time, then you're missing all the things that you need to learn to do your worksheet or your homework So make sure that you're prioritizing your time and you're thinking through when you ask to use the restroom. And finally, last thing with restroom breaks is every single day after school, I take down the restroom log and I highlight names that I see repeated. And I also check to see who is not putting the date and not putting the time in, time out. If I notice you have a certain amount of not filling out that sheet correctly, you're going to lose your restroom privileges in my class. And that's just because if you don't follow the rules, you don't get to enjoy the fruits of using the sheet, if that makes sense. Of course, you can use the restroom if it's an emergency, but you won't be able to use it as often if you're not following the rules. Does that kind of make sense? So anyway, that's just a new update that I have with the restrooms. Another clipboard that we have in the classroom is called a responsible thinking plan. Basically in my classroom, the way I like to see it is we are Ohana, we are family, and so if someone is trying to interrupt that or disrupting the right to someone's safety or the right to someone being able to learn, then they're going to get one verbal warning and then they're going to be stuck doing a responsible thinking plan. This means that the child will be sent out of the room to go complete this on a clipboard. And basically the questions on here are like, what would your teacher say you were doing? Or how did I disrupt the learning environment? And just things for them to process through what behaviors were incorrect and how we can correct them for next time is essentially what it is. And so anyway, we have this up here as kind of a reminder like, hey, you have one verbal warning and the next time you have to go out. And it's not because we're being mean, it's just because everyone deserves the right to learn in a safe and comfortable space. And if your child's disrupting that space, then we have to let there be some consequences for that. So that's another clipboard that we have. Basically what the community table is a place where students can come and use any of the resources on this back table whenever they need to. I emphasize the word need because sometimes using scissors to cut up random pieces of paper is not necessary. But everything else on here, students are allowed to have access to. We have their turn-in baskets, we have a pass-back basket. If I have you for homeroom and there's extra copies, there'll always be this basket here. Right beside it, there's tissues, there's staplers, there's handheld sharpeners, paper clips, Duramex, you name it, extra pens, scissors, all that stuff. And also this is where if your student leaves something in the classroom, they're able to, a classmate can put it up here, like we have 2 missing water bottles right now, and basically that way if the other student comes back and finds it there, they don't have to disrupt my class to come and ask me personally where their things are, because the community table is designed for them to be able to find it themselves without interrupting class, okay? Hello everyone. So communication for me is key. You'll hear it everywhere, but you'll especially hear it in my classroom. I believe that the best way to open the door to a child's success is by opening the door of communication between parent, student, and teacher. And so with that, I've told the students many times that it's their responsibility to reach out if there's something going on, and to reach out if they're sick, and to put your student in the driver's seat of their learning. And so with that, I told them they're able to communicate with me about school whenever, but also they're able to reach out and just let me know what's going on. If they're not able to use email for whatever reason or just want to tell me, there's 2 different ways to contact me. One, of course, is email, but the second one is this place in my classroom called Teacher Talk. Basically, it's a little basket in my room that says Teacher Talk, right underneath the smartboard or whatever. And basically students can take a sticky note out of here and they can fill it out with their name and information on it and drop it in the basket, and I check it every day to make sure if students have something going on they want to share with me about, whether it be something at home, something at school, or whether it be something to celebrate or something to mourn. It's just an open line of communication to constantly be talking. So there's plenty of avenues to have that communication, and I want to just make that accessible and as easy for them as possible. So same invitation for parents. If you ever have any questions about anything, you're always free to email me at bbloodworth@paradiseschools.org. But if you can't reach me for whatever reason, you're welcome to send a note and I will be happy to address it from there as well. Okay, last thing I wanted to talk about today was just some of the procedures that we do in my classroom. One of them is we are at tables. These are super awesome whiteboard tables, and yes, they are dry erase, so students can actually write on them and work on them as we practice math together, which is so amazing. It's just the coolest thing ever. But at their tables, they're all labeled with different numbers so that I'm able to draw a better seating chart for the sub if they cannot make sense of the way these tables are, because they're really funky shaped. I mean, how do you draw that, right? So anyway, at their tables, they're all labeled which table they are. We believe in collaborating together as a class as an idea that we see played out in the real world all the time, and so we encourage that in the school setting, but collaborating when it's necessary. So when I say talk to your partner about this strategy or whatever it is, the student is their job to stay on task with that conversation and using their resources effectively. So one of those ways is we talk about this all the time in class, but inside their little caddies are these markers. There's 5 of them here. They should always be capped, and unless I say to use them for something, I shouldn't see students doodling or anything like that. And so if students are doing that and are having a misbehavior, they'll get one verbal warning and then they'll be sent to the thinking plan, responsible thinking plan sheet. And so that way we can correct the behavior and move forward. Also in here we have some erasers and some things like that for them to wipe away their boards and keep the tables nice and clean, and as well as some colored pencils and some markers. Last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today is pencils. So in my classroom, if you ever have to sharpen your pencil, you do not have to ask. And if you don't know where the pencil sharpener is, I want everyone's eyes to go to the right side of the room where there's a board that says Panther Plus or Panther Perfect on it. And over there, there's a little table with a pencil sharpener. That's where you'll sharpen your pencil, okay? The only time I won't allow you to sharpen your pencil is if I'm in the middle of instructing, so if I'm explaining something on the board. So if that's the case, you need to sharpen your pencil because it breaks. On the community table, there are a couple round red sharpeners that you can handheldly sharpen, so you can do it that way, or you can hold up your pencil like this, like in the sky, and signal to me that you need to sharpen your pencil, and I'll give you the okay to go. Okay, so that's all I have to say about pencils. If you ever have to borrow any, there are always some in the community table. So if you ever need anything, just go ahead and ask. Do not ask. Go ahead and just do it, okay? Unless it becomes a distraction.